Colonial residue continues to impact the lives of Indigenous artists in Canada. Indigenous artists are underrepresented in the Canadian music industry, making up 3.1% of artists while accounting for 3.9% of the workforce. In fact, the Billboard charts, a Euro-American construct in itself, does not feature an Indigenous category. One of the reasons why Indigenous artists and their music are underrepresented is because the education system idolizes and teaches music through European ideals and concepts, yet claims to encompass all music, explicitly including Indigenous music. This creates an inaccurate framing of Indigenous music, leading to a subaltern dynamic with respect to European music, which subsequently results in the underrepresentation of Indigenous artists. The issue at hand can be explored with a look at the Ontario Arts curriculum for grades 1 through 8. As this grade 5 outline shows, the curriculum defines the quote, elements of music within a European framework with ideas such as diatonicism and Western constructs of harmony and forms. Throughout the curriculum, teachers are then directed to apply this framework to Indigenous music. For example, students are instructed to analyze music of various social and cultural contexts using the musical terminology they learned in the curriculum, which, again, largely reflect European ideologies of music. This is seen in section C2.2 in page 142 in the curriculum. We have made a satirical transcription of a piece of Kadajak, or Inuit throat singing. It shows why it is inappropriate to apply this European framework to Indigenous throat singing by demonstrating how this music cannot be accurately and sufficiently perceived and portrayed through a Western musical lens and approach. Our transcription's emphasis on the fundamental concepts listed in the curriculum is inappropriate because Kadajak is not constructed based on these elements. The curriculum's uncritical application of harmony, tonality, and timbre to such broad categories of music, including Indigenous music such as Kadajak, raises several problems, as shown in our transcription. For instance, the semitone is the smallest unit of intervallic distance allowed for in the curriculum's reflection of European pitch, but Kadajak continuously employs the use of microtones. Our transcription's use of the European analytical approaches promoted in the curriculum fails to notate this core component of Indigenous throat singing, showing a severe misrepresentation of this music. This photo marks many inaccuracies in our transcription in just a few bars, with green showing notes that are microtones too low, and orange showing ones that are slightly too high. In addition, the application of Western harmony and tonality to music that is primarily monophonic in texture and that makes significant use of microtones is unlikely to be reflective of the way Kadajak was intended to be heard. The satirical application and imagination of various harmonies and solfege in our transcription, as shown here, portrays the absurdity and inaccurate results of attempting to encompass such broad musics within a single European-based framework. Furthermore, Ideas surrounding timbre are also fundamentally different in Indigenous music. The various vocal timbres employed in this piece also change the pitches of various notes, and thus it is clear that the discerning feature of Kadajak is its unique vocal technique. This technique is not reflected in the curriculum or our transcription. We satirically write, quote, in a throaty manner to represent and address this style of vocal technique. Of course, this rather meaningless direction provides little insight into the true performative style of Inuit throat singing, and does not give justice to the importance of this vocal technique to the genre and musical culture. This highlights the ways in which the concept of timbre in Indigenous throat song is not fully nor accurately captured through the curriculum's reflection of European musical ideals, showing the inappropriateness of general applications of a single framework to such broad varieties of music. This singing style also further distances Kadajak from the curriculum's reflection of European music's emphasis and ideas on harmony and tonality. All of these things show that this Indigenous piece is not built upon the same musical foundation as promoted in the curriculum, which enforces European ideas of harmony, tonality, and timbre. It is easy, then, to assume that Indigenous music is improperly constructed and thus inferior to European music when viewing it through this lens, as European music is representative and in fact forms the basis of the curriculum's fundamental concepts of music, while Indigenous music does not. Yet, through our transcription, we have shown that this is because these concepts do not fully or accurately capture the core elements of Kadajak, such as its vocal technique, monophonic texture, and use of microtones. Thus, this inappropriate approach to music education through a European framework misrepresents the identity and basis of Indigenous music, lending to the viewpoint that Indigenous music is inferior to European music. This, in turn, leads to an underrepresentation of Indigenous artists in the Canadian music industry. This shows that, despite efforts at reconciliation, there still exists ways in which European music and colonial residue continue to further divide and attribute dominant and subaltern positions to European and Indigenous people and cultures, widening the existing power differential that exist between them.